keep going. Evaluate segment elimination decisions. And so each segment has some costs that are avoidable and some that are unavoidable. And so we're going to talk about what it looks like. Let's see. Sheet 4. About segment elimination. So how do we decide if we want to eliminate a segment? And so we have a treadmill division, and we're going to decide, do we want to cut it? Because right now, why would we cut a division? Because it has operating loss. Right? So we're have a division, it's had an operating loss for a while, and now we're deciding as a team, do we want to lay off these people, stop it? It's a big decision, right? But if we're losing money as a company, we can't keep it going forever. And so on the face of it, if we just see an operating loss, right away you might say, well, then why don't we cut it? Well, because some of this operating loss is unavoidable. And so here, the treadmill division, we would look at avoidable expenses and take it out. So what's avoidable? Our cost of goods sold. Is avoidable. Our wage expense. Does this make sense? The cost of goods sold is avoidable because if we eliminate the department, we're not going to have that anymore. No. So cost of sales, wage. If we eliminate the department, we're not going to have employees anymore. What else? Depreciation. That's unavoidable, right? It's unavoidable because we bought that equipment. It doesn't change the fact that we bought the equipment. We're gonna depreciate. Maybe we can sell it and we can build that into our calculation, but it's an unavoidable expense. That equipment's gonna exist for our other departments. Then we go down, rent and utilities. Our rent and utilities of $31.50, we have to still pay that. It's unavoidable, right? We still have that area that we have to use. We still have our lease. Advertising. Is advertising unavoidable? No, it's avoidable, right? It's avoidable because we're not going to be advertising for this product anymore. Insurance. Insurance is it avoidable or unavoidable? We don't need to do it. We're not selling these products anymore, so we can probably get out of the insurance. Office department. Remember, this is a shared cost, right? The office department, it's shared from another department. That's avoidable. A portion is probably avoidable, a portion is probably unavoidable, and that would be given to you in your homework assignments. We'd have to determine, but we're saying, if we remove this department, we still have some department that's going to be unutilized. So maybe we're saying about 2,200 here can be used by a separate department, but then 8060 really can't be used from a separate department. Same thing here with the insurance. We're saying 100, we're still going to have to maintain maybe insurance for our rent and utilities. Share of office department expense. We talked about that. Purchasing. Same. We determine if we still have to have a share, and we're saying we're going to still have, maybe there was an employee that was dedicated full time or half time to our department, half time to another, and now he's just going to be on the other department, and we can't lay him off. So we're going to have to spend that anyways. And then we'd sum it up. And so we see here we have 112,900 of avoidable, and then 6,500. Oh, maybe this calculation was off. Let's see. 30,000. Oh, 7,900. 41,800 of avoidable costs and 6,500 of unavoidable costs. And the idea here is that our sales versus our avoidable expenses. What were our sales up here? Our sales were 47,800. That's how much we'd make. But our avoidable expenses are 41,800. So if we actually remove this division, we'd have a loss of income of 6K if we remove the division. So my question to you is, should we remove this division? So someone, you could write the answer in here, you could speak it out, but should we remove this division? What do you think? Okay, saying no. No. Awesome. That's correct. Why shouldn't we remove it? Why?
Because, yeah.
Exactly. And so that's the thought here is, even though we're at an operating loss, right, we're losing money here. Yep, sales greater than the avoidable cost. Yep, exactly. So even though we're losing money here, we would lose more money if we eliminated the division, because we have some unavoidable costs that are going to be there anyways. So it sometimes makes sense to run these divisions, even if they're running at a loss, because they share and pay for some of the costs of other departments. So this is a pretty limited scope question, and it'll be similar for your homework. In real life, maybe we could say, well, maybe we could use that space to expand a division and we do a more complex analysis. But ultimate goal here is to improve your critical thinking. Don't assume just because you have a loss for something, it means you're doing something wrong. And don't assume just because you're making money, you're doing something right, right? Same thing in life. It could seem, a lot of people that I worked with, when I was a bartender for a while, and people used to tell me I was wasting my time going back to college because I could be making $50,000 a year. Sometimes I'd have nights where I'd make $500 in tips. Instead of taking a class, I could work a few extra shifts. They were saying I was never going to make more going back to college. And now I've far exceeded them in my career, right? That was an example of avoidable versus unavoidable. I could have been short-sighted and said, you're right. I want to make the money now, but I saw the opportunity cost of the future career potential, and I went with the future career potential because it's unavoidable that I'd have to have my living costs going forward, and it's unavoidable that I'd probably make that revenue or that kind of money the rest of my life as a floor, but I wanted to increase the ceiling, right? So you can look at these decisions in your life and think critically. Don't get stuck in just one path. So segment elimination, we talked about, we're not going to eliminate the treadmill division.